Sometimes Augusta is a dangerous place. One of those times was in April of 1968. That's when two unidentified pranksters broke into the Safari Zoo out on US 25 south of town and broke the locks. What did they let out? 3 full-grown lions. Yes, for the next week, the talk of the town was lions on the loose. It was not Augusta's finest hour. First was the way it all began. Early Monday morning, April 29th, when someone broke the lock and opened the gate. Who in their right mind opens the gate on a lion's cage? Anyway, soon 3 fully grown lions weighing between 350 and 450 pounds were loose in South Augusta. Sheriff E.R. Foots Adkins, he had really big feet, called out everybody. Parents were warned to pick up their children from school, and farmers were told to watch their livestock because lions were, well, carnivores. The owner of the zoo, former circus trainer Helen McKinnon, brushed off these concerns, saying the lions would come home when they got hungry. Everyone else reminded her that hungry is not a description you like paired with the word lion. Still, deputies swarmed to the scene and almost succeeded in lion herding the animals back to their cage that Monday night. That's when, according to the Chronicle, 2 drunks drove up and started kicking sand and yelling and screaming at the animals. The lions ran away. Then it began to storm, and the deputies stumbling through the dark, looking for lions, were told to be careful because there was a tornado warning. So let's review, and I'm not making this up. We have deputies in the woods, in the dark, in the rain, chasing 400-pound lions. Oh, and someone spots a tornado. Hey, the deputies were lucky there were only 2 lions. A third lion, a female named Tina, sometimes called Shishi, was shot in the shoulder and recaptured by Mrs. McKinnon earlier Monday. The dawn of day 2 came. The tornado didn't, and the lions stayed loose. And on day 3, troopers from Fort Gordon were called in to search for the 2 escapees, who we now found out were named Sammy and Bud. With Mrs. McKinnon wearing her own set of military fatigues, the Army unit went into the woods on their own lion country safari. No luck that day, but on day 4, they got Sammy. The Chronicle ran a photo of the snoozing 450-pound lion sleeping off the effects of being shot by a tranquilizer dart fired by Mrs. McKinnon. On day 5, they spotted the last lion, Bud, and they tried to lure him back with chicken necks, but it didn't work. But on day 6, Bud went down, but he didn't go down easy. Mrs. McKinnon had put out another bucket of chicken necks, but she had spiked it with a sedative provided by a local veterinarian. Bud ate the chicken and then trotted off. Mrs. McKinnon was apparently so miffed, she chased him and actually hemmed him in a nearby ravine. And while she kept him distracted, her 17-year-old son shot him with a dart. After that, things were quiet for almost a decade. Lions stayed in their cages. But on Halloween Eve, 1978, a bear got out and mauled Mrs. McKinnon. The Chronicle, not wishing to endanger any of its more talented writers that night 4 decades ago, sent one of its more expendable young reporters to find the story. He reported how the 600-pound bear got loose. Mrs. McKinnon tried to talk it back into its cage, and the bear objected. It knocked her to the ground and mauled her leg. A bystander slugged the bear with a pipe and told McKinnon to run, and she did, right to her home arsenal, returning with 2 pistols and a shotgun. The bear was soon dead, and Mrs. McKinnon was on her way to Eisenhower Army Medical Center, and the zoo entered another era of quiet animal exhibitions while Helen entered politics and ran for Justice of the Peace. She died in 1987, and did not see her estate sued by a former employee who was attacked by a tiger. The lion story is still my favorite. Tigers and bears, oh my.